This video log is from May 15, 2013. Today was didn't quite go as I thought it might, but I did have a contingent plan that would have worked. I was looking for a test of yesterday's high, typical Z day. So in the morning I was looking to position myself long. And we did have a great spring down here, right in an area where we lifted it off yesterday. Pulled back on me. I ended up scratching the trade out. Did re-enter here, but then again we kind of jumped around here for a while, and I kind of lost my resolve and ended up figuring I'd either wait for it to reject the high for me to short, wait for it to break out of it and break above it and look for a pullback to buy. Well, the second scenario did happen, and this was a contingent plan. I mentioned yesterday the trend was high, but I didn't get quite what I like to see. I like to see it pull below zero, but this is close enough. Really, this is a good enough reason to get in. The strong demand we had, breaking above highs, strong trending market. When we turned up here, it probably would have been a legitimate place to go long. Not sure where I would have exited the trade. Probably maybe when we broke through this trend channel, or maybe when we got a 310 buy set up and it failed here. Probably would have been the worst case scenario exit for me. No reason to get out here that I could see. Anyways, I don't know how some of you are, but when I miss a trade, I get a lot of anxiety through the day. So I had to work through a lot of anxiety and just kind of general being upset at myself for missing this. But you can't do that. You can't think rationally when that happens. So when this failed to go up, which I actually did take a long in here and lost about a half a point. I think I got long right about here and covered it there. I just could tell it wasn't going to go. I took a little walk outside, walked around for a bit, came back, and lo and behold, we were setting up a pretty decent area to go long. Wasn't something I probably premeditated, but we did break above resistance and come back and tested it. And what I often like to see is when you come down and test these areas, I like to see other technicals on the faster time frame. In the case here, we had yesterday's high, and we were oversold in the trend channel here. And as you can see, we had a couple no supply tests, 2 in a row, in fact, along with 1, 2, 3 bar. I don't know if these would be key reversal bars, but they're bars that were the long tails. And on the third one, I decided to go ahead and take a stab at a long. Popped up, came back, tested the last lower high, and then I exited up here later in the day. So at the end of the day, I did end up catching about 5 points. I exited here, getting a little bit short in the thrust. This is where the sell-off started yesterday, so only way I would have stayed in this if we really had some bars, wide range bars going up, closing strong. I might have held on to it to test this high, and I'd really want to see it blast through it. A lot of supply came in on this down wave, so I wasn't anticipating a very big win, but I wasn't going to rule it out. I wanted to see how the market behaved. I find if I have a preconceived idea of what's going to happen or what I want to happen, I tend to skew my view. At this point at the time of day, I really wanted to be pretty realistic on what to expect out of this trade. I knew there was going to be a bounce. I thought we could come up here again, could blast through it, anything can happen, but I wanted to be realistic, and if I saw any kind of weakness in here or faltering, especially towards the end of the day, I was going to exit. Would have been nice if it was overbought, but couldn't quite reach it, close enough. So at least I caught one of the 3 big moves today, and it was actually the third. It was probably the smallest of the 3 large moves. On this trade here, looking in hindsight, it was a good place to go long and hold on to it. I probably should have switched my time frame to the 9,000 and manage my trade off the 9,000. I'll take trades and manage them off either the 3 or 9,000. Usually the better trades will come off the 9,000 chart because they're bigger ones. And once I got in this spring, or actually that other 310 oscillator buy, I should have just monitored these bars and kind of, as long as it was above the EMA and we weren't getting any overly bearish bars. We had a bearish bar here, but we came right back up and tried coming down again, would have waited for the next bar, came back up, ease of movement through the highs. I would have managed it much better if I wasn't watching the faster times frame. It was moving a little bit too choppy. Would have cleaned it up for me. But anyways, so that was my trading for today. For tomorrow, I do see some signs of weakness. This could be potentially a change of behavior. We're violating a trend channel. This is the largest supply we've had since we broke out of this consolidation. This high volume could, I don't know if that's climactic. We weren't quite overbought, but we couldn't quite reach the top of the trend channel even given this demand. So it's showing some supply is coming in up here slightly. However, for us to really consider a short, I need to see us break through this support level that held this afternoon. A test of it and then coming back down to the downside would be the best case scenario. My guess is we're probably going to consolidate between today's high and low, and probably since we didn't rest today, you tend to see rest days after a large move like that. So probably going to see consolidation tomorrow would be my guess. If we do break this level, come up, test, and sell off, obviously this demand line might be an area of support. Maybe if we get confluence, I'm sorry, this thing's not working. Potentially we could come down here and get a confluence of the support line as well as its demand line. That could be an area we stop. And again, I really think we're still in an uptrend, so I don't anticipate it selling off that drastically. If we do sell off, I'd probably be looking for areas to start buying the S&Ps back. Probably around 1632.5 would be the next level here. Actually, this whole area of congestion is probably going to be a fairly strong area of support. So any kind of strength starts coming in down here, I might anticipate maybe going long again. Daily chart really is strong. I mean, no real signs of weakness anywhere. So if you're going to be shorting, just look for a pullback to support levels and then look to buy back. I won't rule shorting out, but I'm not going to be super excited. I want to see a lot of things in my favor before I take a short. Anyway, so tomorrow I'm anticipating we could, again, continue higher tomorrow. Strong market could happen. My guess is we consolidate. If we start failing up around yesterday's highs, I might look to short and cover again at this level around 1649.5. So we'll just play the support and resistance levels. Look for nice obvious springs. Ease of movement in one direction or the other might give us a clue to what might happen. Stock of interest that I'd been talked about earlier this week is Walmart. We finally broke out of the wedge pattern today. Pretty solid bar, lots of ease of movement. Demand is decent on this bar. It's not exactly, I'd like to see really high volume breaking out. That would give us great confirmation. It's probably slightly higher than average. Yesterday's bar was probably more telling. I actually did go long yesterday. I was actually long the day before and got out here. Once we started driving back above and springing off this level, I decided to jump back in around 78.5 range where I got back in. And we broke out. Strong wedge pattern. This wedge pattern, of course, you can see the support level here, but if you look at the weekly, it's even more obvious. We have very strong, we're holding above this resistance level strong momentum is going our way. No weakness really. Another thing I want to point out about Walmart, might be going into my long-term holding account. I'm kind of looking more for long-term swings, but here's a monthly chart. If you check out the congestion, we're breaking out of a basing pattern that began back in year 2000 where we peaked, and of course this level around 63.90 was the top of the resistance level, and as you can see, ease of movement. These are probably the largest up bars in these few months back here in May of last year were the strongest demand bars we had probably since back here in 2000 or 1999. So this cause that's being built on Walmart can really give a very high target on this stock. That's kind of another reason I've really interested in getting in on this one. So hopefully, just takes off, goes up, never comes back down again. That'd be a perfect scenario. It doesn't always happen. Um, Another one is the Russia ETF that I pointed out to you guys as well. I entered on the spring on the weekly chart. We have a 310 oscillator trade setting up. Very low volume today. A little bit of a no supply. I don't know. It doesn't look like sellers were drawn out on the gap down today. So I ended up buying it probably around $27 where I got in. And looks like it's a little bit of a key reversal bar. We kind of landed on top of where the gap up, this gap down. We kind of filled the gap and turned up. So I went ahead and I didn't have a large position in this, so I added a little bit more to my position. If we can't continue up over the next few days, I might ditch it and just hold on to my core position. I have no interest in getting out of this one, but that was another one I wanted to point out that was setting up. My ADI trade's holding up really strong. I got back here a couple weeks ago. We're holding gains, and this one looks like it's starting to absorb a little bit of this resistance area. I'm not surprised it's stalling here. So keeping an eye on that one. Another stock that I actually wasn't able to catch in time, but was one that was pretty interesting is soda. It had a pretty good little spring back here. I noticed the spring, but didn't jump on board. But I thought it was an interesting looking chart as well, especially given the fact that these horizontal lines are really important areas to look for. We broke above out of this consolidation. We were holding above it for a number of weeks and started turning up again. As you see, momentum was turning up, and we had a nice little spring here that really had a nice result. This thing really took off. So anyways, just kind of want to point out some stocks I was kind of watching and thought were interesting setups. Anyways, hope you all have a good trading day tomorrow.